Facebook Live is hello, everybody on Facebook Live. How is everyone doing tonight? I want to start off by thanking everybody who is joining me this evening for bearing with me and allowing for the late adjustment to the schedule. What had happened was I have to have, it's hard to call it an emergency surgery tomorrow because it's tomorrow, and if it's emergency, I feel like it'd be happening right now, but I'm having just an oral surgery tomorrow, and I won't be able to go live tomorrow night. So I was excited to do a lighting walkthrough for you all of the Ax-olotl character, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to wait too long. I didn't want to wait another week. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. And then if you have to watch it on Monday, there'll be a recording up as well as on our YouTube channel for the Academy of Animated Art. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we can get started here. So we have our Sir Ax-olotl here. And we've got the whole fish tank scene, which is available through our asset library. And we went ahead and let me just show you some results here. So we've done this as a lighting challenge in the past, and you can see some of the results from students in the past. Like really, this was our winner from the lighting challenge. This was from Nicholas Ballier, and just really, really beautiful stuff all around. This is a really strong submission as well. And you can just see there's a lot of like fun stuff you can do with this asset. There's a lot of macro photography you can do. There's a lot of like depth of field stuff you can do. There's a lot of just like unique elements to it. And he's just like a fun, and I alternate between calling Ax-olotls the Ax-olotl a he and a she, because I'm just not sure. Although we called it Sir Ax-olotl now, so I'm guessing that might make it a he. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a lighting setup for that. And delete the lights that were existing that I was playing around with, and get going with that. So one of the things that I always say, and one of the things that I always practice before doing any sort of lighting, is I always like to look at some reference. So I was just pulling up some fish tank type lighting, and what I was seeing was that, because like when I look at it, I kind of would assume that this would just be like a big bank of a light up here, like kind of a big light source. But what I'm seeing is that it's much more like pockets of light that are coming down to kind of create a little bit more of like a dramatic scene. It's not, you know, like if we looked at this image, it's not necessarily, ooh, I don't know where I just ended up. Like you can see there's like brighter patches here, but there's a lot of like dark and shadow coming down. So what I'm thinking is it's going to be smaller light sources coming down and not like a big overarching one. So when I'm looking at my shot, there's going to be a couple, I'm going to approach this one as if I'm lighting it for a sequence, and there's going to be like kind of multiple cameras. So we're going to pretend, let's say this is Finding Nemo, where they're in the fish tank, and you know, you're going to see, you know, like this is kind of setting a stage for things to take place like right in the middle here. But it won't necessarily just be one camera angle. We'll see like a far away one, and then I also have a camera that's kind of right up close to him here. So we'll kind of take a look and make sure that the lighting that we're doing is kind of working well for both. This is kind of a usual approach that I'll take to when I'm just kind of base lighting a sequence. It's just, you always kind of want to be aware. I mean, you know that you're going to have to make some tweaks on a shot-by-shot basis, but you do want to be aware of how this scene's going to be viewed across multiple shots, so that you're not kind of painting yourself into a corner with a lighting setup that only works with one like close up. But then once you pull back for a longer view, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? So, okay. So the one thing that I want to do is, like I said, I just want to create some, like a little pocket of light. Like this is all kind of set up, and the way that we kind of staged this is that everything's like centering around this one central area. So I'm going to go ahead and create a light. Just going to create like an area light, and I want it to just kind of come down directly from above him and just see where that looks. So we're going to go ahead and take this and rotate. Oh, I always freaking mess this up. I think it's just rotated it wrong. So making sure that the line coming out of the area light is facing down, because that's which way the normal is facing. Yeah, we go. Okay. So if let's see. There we go. So if I just rotate this, yeah, there we go. Negative 90 in the x-axis. Lift it up towards the top here. Let's make sure we're not, because you don't want it like penetrating too much on the top because you'll get some rendering artifacts. Same thing with the penetrating out that way. So I'll go ahead and scale it down this way. Shift it forward just a little bit. And now it is looking, it's pretty big up there. Let's go ahead and just say like something like that. We'll see how that looks for right now. So I'll go ahead and do this in the broader one, and then we'll take a look at the closer up version as well. So you know this from whenever you create a new Arnold light, by default, you're not going to really see anything just because the exposure isn't set high enough. And honestly, I know that there's some, oh, why isn't that showing up? I know that there are some, there's some like mathematical things that go into this, but usually when I create a new light and I just start to adjust the, and I just start to like kind of play with it and get it to show up, I just jack around the exposure numbers just to make sure that it's doing something. Why isn't this refreshing with an IPR? There we go. All right. So yeah, so when I brought it in, it was at an exposure of 0. I saw nothing. I turned it up to like 10. And then I just start to like kind of crank it up. And depending on the scale of the scene is when you're really going to start to see something. So now we can kind of see that this is working as like a little bit of pocket of light in the center of the aquarium. I'm really liking how the light is kind of picking up these edges. I think that's working really well. And that's something that I kind of like, when I like to do a quick creation and just kind of like just see what we're getting by default. I'm like, yeah, that's working really great, because I know when I pull back, it'll create a nice, like almost TV set like frame of this. I know this is obviously too bright and we're gonna have to take that down a little bit, but just something just out of the gate that I'm seeing that looks pretty nice. I like the top down. I like that we're getting some of these darker values, because again, you know, like talking about this, you know, let's go ahead and kind of simulate something like this. So a lot of cooler tones, a lot of cooler elements in the lights. And so let's go ahead and just make this just like a little bit on the cooler side. It's not going to be great for our axolotl, just because the axolotl is a warmer tone. And right now we're, let's go ahead and get closer with it. And what we're doing is we're putting a cooler light on a warmer tone character. And you can see it's like, it's going to go ahead and, you know, flush him out a little bit, as opposed to if we were doing something like this, his pinkish red colors really start to shine through a little bit. So we might use that to our advantage, like use this kind of color for the rest of the set. And then I'll show you how to do, how to make it so that we'll change, we'll do a secondary light. We'll get to that. But for now, we're just like worried about the shaping. And right now, like looking at him, it's kind of broad all the way across. It's kind of like flat and not really lighting them up, or not lighting them up real well. Like we're not seeing a lot of shaping going on. So what that usually means to me is that the, you know, like looking at this, like it feels like it's probably too big. It's just kind of coming straight down, which I know is, again, like technically right, but it's just not looking great on him. We want some variation from one side or the other. So he's kind of facing out this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and favor the light a little bit more on the screen right side. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, which will change the intensity of it. And you can see like what a broad, it's like a big broad light there will be nice and soft. But when I really tighten it up, you can start to see some more dark values creeping in, and you can see the light kind of sharpening up on our main character as well. Additionally, I can see that's kind of like just reaching around the top. And what I want to do is favor it to one side over the other. And just through experience, I kind of want to tilt it a little bit forward facing on him too. So it's a little bit in front of him. So it's going to get a little bit of beauty light on him. So we're just going to kind of tilt it off to the side. And now we're starting to see some more shaping, some more value differences coming across here. Move this over just a little bit. Shift this. Okay, now we're kind of starting to see some good shaping that we want. He doesn't have a nose, so we can't really do the Rembrandt lighting. Check the chat here. You may want to turn off the depth of field for these tests. Yeah. Okay. That's fair. We'll go and select the camera. Just go ahead and disable depth of field on this one. All right. So now, yeah, now you can see that there's a little bit of some better shaping on this. We can start to see some darkness values creeping in here, which is what we really want. We can work on that with more light, but the biggest thing that we don't want to do whenever we're kind of creating our main key light is overlight something, because there's really not much room that you can come back from that on, because lighting is an additive process. So if you make something too bright out of the gate, you're never going to come back from that. And number two is we don't want to flatten things out. We want all of our lights, every single one of them that we create, to generate some sort of shaping on the character. So let's go ahead and say that's pretty good. We've got some cooler tones in the background here. That's feeling pretty good. We're going to let the warmer tone of the character kind of pop off and pop forward a little bit. Now we just kind of want to throw in some extra fill light over the course of the whole character here. And so let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and just do a sky dome here. That's out of the way. Sorry, my Zoom interface is in the way there. So we're going to go ahead and create, not a mesh light. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Light sky dome. And let's go take a step back, take a look here. All right, you can see it already taking shape. So the sky dome is just kind of this all-encompassing it wasn't allowing me to scale there. Okay, just kind of scaling it up, because I know it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't change the lighting at all. I just want the sky dome to be look like it's something that surrounds kind of everything, so that I can kind of see what I'm getting myself into. Now, this is, again, starting to, it brightens up the image a lot, but we're starting to lose those dark values again. So I'm going to go ahead and just tone down this exposure, because we don't want it to be like no influence, but we just want to just like some soft values in there. We're going to go ahead and make this a little bit cooler to kind of match. Get that in there as well. And now the one thing that I was kind of seeing about this character when I was lighting him was that I really kind of wanted to emphasize a few things, like mostly his like little tentacles here, because I think they're really cool, and also just some of the subsurface of them, and some of the just some of the kind of like little attributes of him, just his shape, just his form, kind of getting some of the smile, a little bit of the rim on the smile of his face there. So in order to get that, I created a spotlight. I'm gonna look through that. All we're gonna do is we're gonna set a light behind him just to kind of create a little bit of a rim. So now we're underneath. By the way, if you ever see this, where you're kind of like losing objects that are kind of far away, all you want to do to fix that is go and you select your camera, and then you just adjust your clipping plane. Just throw a couple zeros in there. Here we go. Okay. We'll see him. Go and take it around this side. And what we're going to want to do is select the light. Make sure we go into the Arnold tab. Increase that exposure, because again, by default, you're not going to be seeing anything. Let's say 20. Start to see some values creeping in here. Go ahead and jack this up just so we can kind of see it. What I'm seeing here is like this hard line around that. We don't really want to see that, because then we know that if we step back at the wider angle, you're probably going to see a hard line around his tail. And that's not exactly what we want. So we want to go ahead and just kind of soften that edge a little bit. And we do that by going ahead and just adjusting this. I'm going to make the cone a little bit bigger, and then adjust the penumbra and the drop off. So we're just kind of seeing it more right in the middle and not all over all of it. It's hitting his face a little bit broadly there. So I'm just going to keep pulling it around, just seeing what it gets. Because again, he's a little bit of a unique shape. So I'm not quite sure the best position for this. Let's go and take a look at what we got here. So again, like these super hard shadows are not what we want. We definitely want to increase this radius. Soften up those shadows just a little bit because they're like a little much. Let's see if we got any questions going over here while I'm going through this. Hello, Nathania. It's very good to see you. All right, so you can start to see we're getting some rim lights going on up in here. We're starting to see that the edge of that pop a little bit more, and that's definitely something that we want to see. Now the exposure is a little bit too high, so we'll go ahead and just kind of tone that down a little bit. Too much. And now we just kind of want to see just like a little bit, because we don't want to like overpower the key light or anything. We'll probably turn up this key light just a little bit, but we want to just kind of feel these like I don't even know what to call them, because like these are like his horns, and then they're like the little, let's just call them his hair. It's like the hair off of his horns there. I'm going to save this because again, I'm screen sharing and recording while rendering, and my computer is not the all-time greatest. In fact, let's see. We also got some high render sampling, I'm realizing. Tone this down. There we go. All right, that'll speed things up. So you can kind of start to see that stuff work out there as well. The one thing that I go back to my key light here. The one thing about this that I'm curious of is, like, we've got some good specular highlights on him here, but I want to just like play around and make sure that we have a good level of the subsurface versus the actual specularity of it. So let's go ahead and got this light here. Just gonna kind of wiggle it in place just a little more. I'm just gonna try and push just a little bit more shaping into it. And then what I was gonna do was adjust the, because he's got a subsurface shader on him. So I'm wondering, because I want to just see like a little bit more specularity out of him. But you can see the second I do that, you can see the specularity kick up in the background. So just another reason why. I see what you did. You know, it was funny because in my head I was like, I should probably duplicate this light to create a character only light, but I wasn't ready to do that yet, but I went ahead and did it. So let's just go ahead and do that now. So now we've got two area lights. And what I want to do is I want to create one just for the character and another one just for the environment. So we're going to just do ahead and do some light linking. Huh. Oh, this is slightly different. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so that's funny. Sorry, give me just one sec. Don't be under attribute spreadsheet. Render setup, I guess. Wacky. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go back to that. I'll get back to that in just a second. I'm gonna delete that. But the main thing that I wanted to show you guys was just that with change from modeling to rendering in the drop down. Really? Oh. It's funny. I was looking for the light linking tab that used to be up there. I just updated Maya. Lighting and shading, light linking editor. There it is. Thank you. All right, cool. All right. God, I've lost that one for a second. Okay, so now we got the area light. We definitely don't want that on our axolotl. So now we turn it off. Now it's only existing on the scene. If I duplicate this light, and I swear to God, when I light normally, I practice a little bit better naming convention than this. We're gonna go ahead and turn it off for the tank. And now what we can do is in this individual light, we can take this, and instead of it being this kind of cooler color, we're gonna wanna go ahead and just warm that up a little bit just to make him pop off, at least make it neutralized. So now we've got these kind of more vibrant pinks popping off from the background. And then additionally, we want to, I wanna go ahead and just like, yeah, we've got this specular, in the original dome light, we wanna go ahead and take that specular back down. And then in this one, we wanna leave that where it is. If we want, we can go ahead and tone down the subsurface, or we can crank it up. We can adjust that there. So now we've got lights that are only that's only affecting the character, and a light that's only affecting the environment. And because we are keeping them in the same spot, there's never going to be like a situation where the character swims through something and then we don't we don't see it do that. Now, if we go out to this wider view, which you're going to start to see like what I was talking about in terms of an issue. So right now, this light is kind of penetrating some of this stuff up here. So what we're going to want to do is, and again, like we can't, it's not necessarily that it's going to be like the worst thing in the world if that happens on the close-up view, but just for some continuity's sake, we're going to go ahead and just kind of see if we can get that to not penetrate some things. Angle it down in there. There we go. And now it's nice because we can actually zero it in a little bit more on the environment. And now we can kind of see that if we back up, it's really kind of focused in just here on the center. Turn this off of here. And now we can get some good shaping on there. Now, the one thing that I really wanted to point out to you all, if you do decide to go in and use this axolotl character that I know that some people have struggled with in the past, so I just want to call this out now, is on this axolotl, on this shader, we provide a bunch of different shaders. And one of the things about the color is that, let's see, let's actually go ahead and do this. So if we go into the closer up view and I render, you'll see some, like you get to see his eyes, right? And one of the things that happens when we, up here, one of the things that happens by default when you apply this is that we don't have an opacity, like if there's no opacity map on this, you'll see that his eyes are kind of like plugged up here. Like we're not seeing through to the transparency. What you want is, see if I can just view this. Sometimes this works for me, sometimes this doesn't. Oh, it's a TX file, that's why. But basically there's a black and white map that we've included with the download where it's like white on the eyes and black on the body, so that because Arnold is a strange beast in that it doesn't read the alpha channel of the color map. It asks specifically for an opacity map to add in. So just one thing to be aware of while I was kind of going through this here. So yeah, so now what I want to do is hop into Nuke, and I want to show you guys. So this was like the basic lighting setup that I gave, and I just kind of wanted to show you how I kind of walk this through to the final iteration. Again, I shut this. Weird. Oh, weird. Ax-olotl images. Sorry, give me just 1 second. There we go. Car, and then BG. Okay. So you can see the full render of the character here. You can kind of see the rim light going in here. We've got the rim light coming in. We've got some specular highlights hitting there. We've got some good specular highlight of that. For the background, cooler colors, again, out of focus because I added the depth of field. From there, what I did was I went ahead and added these two little radial lights. And you can see they're just like little eye dings on the character there. With this background, I went ahead and I just upped a little bit of the saturation and exposed it up just to make it like a little more green, a little more lush, and just to kind of pop it out away from the character here. See it there. And then I also goosed the character just a little bit more in the comp. And then I add a little bit of like a glowy diffusion, a little bit of vignetting, and that was kind of finalized out there. So that's the basic setup that I did, the basic idea of how I wanted to step through that. Where can I get this scene? You can go to, actually it's right over here. So in our asset library, the lighting challenges, we have all of our scenes available for you to download. Right now, our current lighting challenge, which you've seen, is our city scene. This is kind of the sci-fi future scene. We've got the mushroom girl. We've got the couple here, the woman on the balcony, the Winter Wonderland, the boy and the snail. Again, Sir Ax-olotl. We've got this animated scene. Our alley, which we've had for a long time, which is a great, great, great asset. The Mr. Bean character that Pixar is letting us use. And then we've got a couple others. These are relatively new. This one is the Ali Chinari one. And if you haven't seen, I added it in the critique last week, but we can see all of our, or you can see our student work from that was really, really fantastic. So that's where all of those assets live. Let me see if there's any other questions there. But yeah, that's the main gist of that. And if you guys have any other questions, I will. Let's see. Let's see, as other questions come in, I do want to say that this question was asked in the lighting community. Actually, let me go ahead and do this. I'll go ahead and show you guys the Ali Chinari stuff because I thought it was really cool. So this is the student page here. Where'd they go? Oh, this is a really neat, really neat image here. Here's a fun animation by Hisham. Really beautiful stuff. So this was an animation that was done with Becky Tower, who's working with some of our students to do animation mentorship. So Becky is the department head at Pixar. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so Nick took these images and just made some really fun stuff with them. Love this little knitted monster guy. And he just added them to all kinds of fun scenes. So big fan of that. The other question that I wanted to bring up was, so Jordan asked about, he's planning to learn as much as he can over the next 4 months. And he was asking about learning Python. So generally speaking, at the larger animation studios, you are either like an artist or you work in the pipeline. Artists are meant to be artistic and do, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so you guys can just see my face. So artists are meant to be artistic, and there are pipeline people whose job it is to create tools, to handle workflow stuff, to change things out, and to update for the pipeline accordingly. They will often use pipeline a lot. Software engineers will use pipeline a lot. In terms of your day-to-day operations as an artist, you don't, like, I don't know Python. I know most of the artists I work with don't know Python. Does it hurt you? Absolutely not. Does it open up more possibilities for you? Sure. But it is not an essential skill, which is why we don't teach it as part of our lightning bundle to getting a job in this industry. So that is an excellent question because it's something that kind of was eating at me for a while. Like, I didn't think that I was technically savvy enough in order to like really apply for jobs, because it would pop up in applications sometimes, like must be a great artist and must have 85 years of experience and must know Python. And I was like, I don't have any of that stuff. But that's not like, a lot of those things are just like nice to haves. And then once you get somebody in the door, all they care about is your artistic ability because they know that you're going to be changing that stuff out. All right. Yeah, you're very welcome, Abib. If anybody has any other questions, I'll go ahead and end things here. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys a brief lighting walkthrough. I'm hoping to do more of these. I'm a little timid about diving too deep and doing too much because I don't want my computer to crash and leave you guys all hanging while I do this. But I thought that this would be a good test run of this. But like I said, these videos will be up here on the Facebook page. They will also be on our YouTube channel at the Academy of Animated Art. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Okay, one more question. With all the remote jobs going on, are the chances of getting a job in lighting increased? I don't think it's because of remote jobs that your chances of lighting get increased. I think it's because there's a demand now that there never has been before. There was an initial shockwave that kind of got sent through the industry of, I mean, obviously we're going through unprecedented times. The economies around the world are in flux. But one of the things that has kind of happened over the last 2 months is a couple things. Number one, a huge demand for entertainment content. Everyone's in their homes. I have a, almost a 1.5-year-old. I would love for there to be more animated things for me to watch with him. I know a lot of people are demanding this. So demand is kind of at an all-time high. Additionally, we had, there was concerns because you release a movie and, how can movie studios make any money if no one will go to a movie theater? This is a little controversial, but I'll mention it. So Trolls World Tour just got released 100% digitally. There's no in-theater stuff. And Paramount and DreamWorks actually made more money that way than if they would have released it into the theater, because theaters generally take like a 50-50 cut of the ticket sales they'll split it with whoever makes the movie. Where digital, the split is, I think it's more like 80-20. I'm not on the business side, so I don't always know, but they said that their end takeaway was actually higher from the digital release than if it would have released in the movie theater. And so there's that. So there's a little more stability. Now there's more demand. More so because with the way things are right now, there are no active on-site films being filmed right now, just because like they can't gather in that large of number of people. That'll change, I guess, in the coming months. But I just think that right now what's going on is going to be a huge demand on animation because we can keep working. Like I know, like a big company like a Disney who I work for through Blue Sky. This is a big company with a lot of facets to it, and there's a lot of question marks. But the one non-question mark is that we can still work remotely to make animated productions, and we can still release them, and they can still make money. So I have only seen that number, the demand for it go up. And like I said, there's more avenues for films than there's ever been before. Like Blue Sky, Pixar, Sony, Disney, we all still exist. DreamWorks is still here. All of us are still there. On top of that, we've got Netflix developing original content. We've got Amazon Plus or Amazon Prime developing original content, Apple TV, Hulu, all developing original animated content. They are freelance. They are hiring smaller studios to do that. So I think that as we continue to work remotely, there will just be more and more demand for our services, just because there's going to be more and more demand from people who want to see it. And there's a business model in place in the new world order that we have that shows that it's profitable. So I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities coming up. Sorry if that was a little long-winded, but that's my take on the current state of things. And as like I know DreamWorks, Pixar, us are all having artists work with remote stations and all just humming along, and everybody's we're still getting adjusted to that life, but the capabilities and this technology is there to have people work from home. So there are going to be opportunities coming up. Let's go. Okay. Is there any place to rent a VM with the software installed? My little MacBook is not cutting it. I don't know. I also have a little MacBook that I'm working on here, just for my personal work. And I don't know if there's a place. I'm sure there is. Like, I don't know if like B&H There's got to be a place that rents out software. Let me look into hardware. I don't know. Software installed. The software installed is going to be the tough part. Let me look into it, and I will post up here. I guess I probably won't get to it tonight and into tomorrow, just because I am having that oral surgery. So, but soon I will look into it and get back to you, because that would be something that would be very, very beneficial. Yeah. All right. Okay, great. I got all the questions. If you have anything else, just post in the comments below, guys. Thank you so much for being flexible with me and allowing me to do this tonight as opposed to tomorrow night. And if you all have any questions at all, feel free to post them in the comments. Email me at mike@academyofanimatedart.com. All right. Be safe this week. Have a good time. Happy lighting, everyone. Wait. Oh, one more. Sorry. Do you need to live near the studio to get a remote job? Sorry, I missed that part. I don't think so down the road. There will be some security issues and some lag issues. But I know that studios have tested remote working from people across continents, and it's worked. So I think long-term that won't be a problem, but for now it's only people working locally, because they do plan on having them come back in, but I think down the road it won't be that. Okay, now I'm out. Be good, guys. Happy lighting. Have a great week, everyone. Talk to you soon.